plants dependent. So it's the same number of the black market, the bishop or the fiddle. That's two options. So let's make a small calculation. I lost. And I show the value of 3 points. Let's do them the same way, so I can use it. So I lost. And I 3 points, and I want a bond of 1 point. So I lost 3 minus 1, and it's 2 points, so I left on 2 points. Okay.
Hello, sir. Hello, Behra, sir.
Yeah.
You are there.
Thank you, Professor Gupta, for sending the link. Yeah.
Thank you, sir. Thank you,
Yeah.
Ajay, sir. Thank
I'm
you.
there, yeah.
Abhik, sir has come. Okay, sir.
Yeah, I'm joined already.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Thank you.
Hello, sir. Hello, Sir Ajay and Sir T.S. Singh from Ahmedabad.
Hello, how do you do?
Good, sir. Thank you for joining, sir.
Welcome.
Hello, Sir Abhik Gupta.
Hello, sir. Dr. Singh. Welcome, sir.
So, yes, the value of blue is 5 points. Now, let's choose two. How much is the value of the queen? It's 8. Next to C.
Dr. Ibi Chaubi is there.
10 points. So, let me mention the value during this session.
Can you listen, Dr. Ibi Chaubi? Yeah. Okay. You are mute, I think.
Now for the last question.
We cannot listen you, Ibi Chaubi. Okay. Fine.
Oh, okay. So shall we begin now?
Sir, Abhik Gupta, sir, should we begin or sometime? Let us wait.
It's up to you. You can wait.
We can start.
If you're waiting for some guests, you can wait or you can start also. As you like. I have no problem.
Okay, sir. So, Ibi Chaubi, then.
We can start.
Yeah, we can start. Ibi Chaubi, please.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Dr. Hyacinth at your service. I am an executive member of SHEET, Society for Environmental Education Development Manipur. The SHEET Manipur and Manipur Shakti has been conducting webinars and other functionary activities for every event and occasion related to art and its environment. So we have celebrated the Earth Day, and today, 5th June 2021, SHEET and Shakti Manipur is observing the World Environment Day during these pandemic days and reminding our people to care and concern for our environment. This year, the theme for World Environment Day is ecological restoration, and the host country is Pakistan. On today's observation, we have Professor Abhik Gupta, retired Pro VC of Assam University, Silchar, and currently the Vice Chairman of Tripura Higher Education Council as chief guest, and Professor Asa Gupta, Chairman and Convener of SHEET and Shakti Manipur, as chairperson of today's webinar. We are also having various distinguished dignitaries from various institutes and organizations, so namely Sir T.S. Singh from ISRO, Subhas Putnam, Bitamex, Niranjan Behera, Watromi, Ajay, etc. are also participating in our webinar, and they are willing to hear from our guests also. So our today's program schedule will begin with an opening remark and a welcome address from Dr. Sunita Devi, President of SHIT Manipur. Next, an introductory to our chief guest, Professor Abhik Gupta by Dr. Emoshna. Next, we will hear lectures from our chief guest. After this, Professor Asa Gupta will give her presidential address. And lastly, we will wind up with more things from Daisy Angom. So to begin our program, I request Dr. Rajkumari Sunita Devi, who is presently the additional CEO of State Level Nodal Agency for Waste Management Planning Department, and also presently the Vice President of SEED Manipur, who is also Harvard Humphrey Fellow of Cornell University, New York, and also a Zika Fellow, Japan. To introduce, request her to give our opening speech of today's function and a welcoming address to all. So, Madam Sunita, please.
So in the last session, we learned about the
Hello.
pieces, which is very important.
Hello, Madam R.K. Sunita, Dr. R.K. Sunita.
Sunita, please. You are mute, Sunita. Please
Okay.
begin.
Can you hear? Okay. Thank you, Ibechobi. Thank you so much. A very good afternoon to all the viewers present here today. Welcome to the 6th webinar organized by SEED Manipur in collaboration with Sakti. Today, we celebrate the World Environment Day 2021 with its global theme, Ecosystem Restoration. On behalf of the organizing committee, I heartily welcome today's chief guest, Professor Abhik Gupta, Vice Chairperson of Tripura State Higher Education Council and former Professor of Ecology and Environmental Science, Silchar University. I had the privilege to meet him in 2007 in Silchar when he organized the International Conference on Water Resource Management, Challenges and Opportunities in the 21st Century. Welcome, sir. It was indeed a very heartening conference which he organized, and we had the privilege to meet Professor Brij Gopal and Professor Dipankar Chakrabarti at that time, who is no more. I take this opportunity to welcome dignitaries, eminent scientists, and my mentor, Dr. Ajay. Hello, sir. So nice to see you from ISRO Ahmedabad Space Application Center. We have with us my former mentor, Dr. Sadanand Singh Thakur. Welcome, sir. It's really nice to see both of my mentor, though Dr. Garg is missing today. A hearty welcome to both the former scientists from ISRO. Dr. Ajay is an emeritus scientist, and recently his team of scientists won the third place of the GOLDN competition for land degradation neutrality. Congratulations, sir.
Thank you. Thank you.
I welcome various other delegates, scholars, and participants from other parts of India. I see my good friend, Dr. Nesatullah here. She is the Joint Director of Science and Technology from Nagaland. Welcome, Dr. Nesa. I welcome Dr. Subhas Puyam, ISRO, ANISEC Shillong. Welcome, Subhas. I can also see some of the participants from the government of Manipur, from the water sector, Mr. Royal, Mr. Watromi, and Mr. Betamax. They are from the Water Resource Department and Public Health Engineering Department, respectively. And they are some of the water warrior of Manipur. Welcome. I welcome today's President, retired Professor Asa Gupta, the brainchild behind many of these webinars, a true scientist working wholeheartedly for the conservation of ecology of this region, Manipur. Truly speaking, no other scientist or scholar can match the zeal on how Professor Asa Gupta works. Welcome, ma'am. I welcome all members of Sakti and SIT Manipur, all other various participants from various universities, faculty members, research scholars. On this occasion of World Environment Day 2021, I quote from the United Nations, "People and the planet are only as healthy as their ecosystem we all depend on. Bringing degraded ecosystems back to life, for example, by planting trees, cleaning up riverbanks, or simply giving nature space to recover, increase their benefits to society and biodiversity. To encourage the revival of ecosystem everywhere, United Nations Environmental Program has published a practical guide to ecosystem restoration that can slow and halt the degradation of ecosystem and foster their recovery. The guideline outlines three pathways, namely taking action, such as starting or support an on-ground restoration project, or making smart choices like buying only sustainable products and changing diets, or raising our voice in support of ecosystem conservation and restoration. The guideline also describes approaches to restoring the 8 key types of ecosystems, that is the forest, the farmlands, grasslands, rivers and lakes, ocean and coast, towns and cities, peatlands and mountains. In this context, the role SIT Manipur is planning to play is to collectively work together with various stakeholders of Manipur's environment and ecosystem, and to formulate certain policy and planning which can be recommended to concerned authorities of Manipur. We plan to develop various strategies which will be improvised scientifically during the course of our series of webinars and brainstorming sessions. I personally work for the watershed management and also for GIS mapping of various natural resources of the state. Many data are available with my office and with the State Remote Sensing Center, which can help immensely in restoring degraded lands, human cultivations, or wetland restoration. I cite an example from Water Resource Department, Mr. Royal, the executive engineer who is working on restoration of Lamphel wetland with a new project from the World Bank. Likewise, Mr. Watromi, another executive engineer from the Water Resource Department, working for the National Hydrology Project. And Mr. Batamex, he is working towards development of a web portal for geotagging various water harvesting structures of the state. This was really a very landmark program which we all took together, the web portal for water resources Manipur. The CM have recently launched it, and it is really a very highly functional and important web portal for the government. And I try to bring to the notice of all participants today that we have multidisciplinary work to do to restore the ecology of Manipur or Northeast region as such. Manipur has about 2.23 million hectares of degraded wasteland, which includes jhum, cultivated area, degraded forest, scrub forest, and open forest area, out of which the IWMP program had targeted to treat 2.9 lakhs hectares. But with the closure of the project, the target could not be reached, but at least 40% of the target area has been treated with construction and restorations of many water harvesting structure, vegetative structures, afforestation, and livelihood alternatives. This is a brief report which I'm presenting from the government sector. Likewise, we are all ears to listen to more success stories or examples on how to restore ecology of this region by various talkers in our series of webinars. And especially, we are waiting to listen to Sir Abhik Gupta on his topic, Re-affirming our commitment to the biosphere. We are really hopeful that he will throw lots of light to these new engineers present among us today from Manipur and many other scholars or other participants in today's webinar. Without further ado, I welcome you all to today's discussion and knowledge extension. Over to Dr. Ibe Chowbi. Thank you so much. Dr. Ibe Chowbi, next program, please.
Now, after hearing a beautiful welcome address from Dr. Rajkumar Devi, now I request Dr. R.K. Emoshna, Assistant Professor, Oriental College, Imphal, and Secretary, State Manipur, to give an introductory speech of our chief guest, Professor Asa Gupta, to our participants. Sir, please.
Thank you, Dr. Ibe Chowbi. Good afternoon, everybody. Thanks for joining us. I would like to take the opportunity to introduce Professor Abhik Gupta, who would be presenting his talk on the topic, Reaffirming Our Commitments to the Biosphere. Professor Gupta is currently the Vice Chairperson, Tripura State Higher Education Council, and he had been in Assam University as a professor in Department of Ecology and Environmental Science, and also Pro-Vice Chancellor of Assam University, Silchar, India. He graduated from St. Edmunds College, Shillong, Meghalaya, and received his master's and PhD degrees from Northeastern Hill University, Shillong, Meghalaya. Professor Gupta's area of research interest include water pollution, aquatic biodiversity, environmental toxicology, policy and ethics, and he has published over 200 research articles and book chapters in those fields. He is also the author of 2 books from CRC Press and SAYS publications. A widely traveled person, I would say that Professor Gupta has made presentation in over 100 international and national seminars and conferences in India and 14 countries abroad. And also awards and fellowships received by him include Water Messenger Award from the World Water Council at Kyoto, Japan in 2003, Fellow of National Institute of Ecology, India in 2006, Erasmus Mundus Senior Scholarship in Bioethics at Radboud University, the Netherlands in 2008, and Erasmus Mundus India Namaste Academic Staff Grant at UPV Spain in 2014. He was the Vice President of the Asian Bioethics Association and Chairman Science and Technology Committee of SASTI Indo-Canadian Institute, New Delhi. He has served as the principal investigator of international projects from Switzerland and Australia and delivered invited lectures at different universities and research institutes in Australia, Spain, USA, Thailand, the Netherlands, Japan, and India. He has successfully supervised 27 PhD and 8 MPhil dissertations. Now, we would love to hear from you, sir. And I hope everybody will enjoy the talks from Sir Professor Gupta. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Rajkumar, for your kind words. Yeah, I look forward to having interactions with all of you. I would like to thank Professor Asa Gupta ji for kindly inviting me here and allowing me to be a part of this celebration of World Environment Day. Nice meeting also Sunita after a long time, although virtually, and also meeting the other dignitaries present here. So I hope that we could have a good interaction. So I would now like to move to my PowerPoint presentation and share it with you.
And on the last slide, the group is going this, for example, so it's okay, so now we know what the queen and one piece. So let's do the piece.
Is my presentation visible to all of you?
Yes, sir, it is visible.
Okay,
Yes,
thank you.
yes.
Thank you. So I'll proceed. So again, I welcome all of you and hope to have good discussion with all of you. So since today is World Environment Day, and I would just like to take a brief look at the history of World Environment Day, and every time I do that, in fact, I'd like to pay my tribute to Dr. Rachel Carson, who was one of the pioneering environmental scientists to highlight the problems of environment and environmental crisis when she published her path-setting book Silent Spring in 1962, which was focusing on the pesticide poisoning of ecosystems and biota, including a lot of harmful effects on wildlife, such as the bald eagle, and also a lot of human health problems like increasing incidences of non-Hodgkin's lymphoma in parts of USA. We also pay tribute to her because at that time in 1962, she had the guts and the courage to stand up against the various pressures exerted on her by the powerful pesticide lobby, but she didn't budge an inch. So I always like to pay a tribute to her as a very brave lady who really set the path for having spreading environmental consciousness among the people. And so with this publication, slowly the stage was set for environmental awareness spreading and environmental activism spreading throughout the world, and also in USA. Meanwhile, the first Earth Day was organized by a young US Senator, Gaylord Nelson, and it was participated by more than 20 million Americans. But it was basically till in 1990, Earth Day became an international event. It was more of an all-American affair. So meanwhile, a proposal was made to UN General Assembly in 1967 because people felt the need to have a conference where the complex problems of human environment could be discussed, and United Nations was the appropriate body, it was thought, to organize such an event. I think I'm hearing some other sound, so it is somehow coming and distracting me.
Okay, so why to play and you check me? Remember, it's played by Uli.
Okay, thank you. So the United Nations, it organized a conference on the human environment, UNCHE, during 5th to 16 June 1972 at Stockholm, Sweden, as we all know, the first international initiative to draw attention to environmental issues. And on the same year, on 15 December, it created the United Nations Environment Program, UNEP, which spearheads a lot of environmental activities organized by the United Nations. And on that day itself, 5th June was designated as World Environment Day. In 1974, the first World Environment Day was observed. And the theme, in fact, I would like to draw your attention to the theme. It said, only one Earth. So it really reminded us. I mean, it was perhaps people might have thought that it's an oxymoron. Yes, we all know, only one Earth. But somehow human actions all over the world till that time did not appear, to show that there was only one Earth. We are suffering from what Edward Cormendy said, cornucopia. We thought that the Earth will keep on yielding resources to us. The more we extract, the more it will come out from the, like the mythical Greek horn from where everything could come out, on and on and on. So people thought sort of our resource extraction policy was like that we thought the Earth will keep on yielding resources to us and we'll keep on utilizing that and enjoying that. But actually, that's not the situation. And we had to be reminded that there is only one Earth, and unless we use its resources in a proper manner, then it will become uninhabitable for all forms of life, and that included the human beings. So that was a kind of a reminder to us. And in fact, after 47 years of that event, today we are trying to have, again, think that we have to restore the ecosystems. Otherwise, we will not be in a position to continue much farther. So anyway, between this period, since 1974, this World Environment Day, as we all know, it has served really as the main platform for spreading environmental awareness. Every year, on this day, people have again rallied around some common cause and then have tried to take it further, both in developed countries as well as in developing countries. And also this around this day, somehow more interaction, more understanding have also been generated among the different nations. And through this, we have tried to combat the world environmental crisis. And this year, as you already know, that it is ecosystem restoration, with Pakistan serving as the host country. And further, this day is also important today because it marks the beginning of the UN Decade on Ecosystem Restoration. That means not only today we remind ourselves of restoring ecosystems, we embark on the international program all throughout the world to restore the ecosystems for 10 years, ending again on 2030. And this is because the loss of natural systems, ecosystems all around the world is rather unprecedented. Forests measuring about a football field are vanishing every 3 seconds. I mean, a lot of such statistics are available. I'm just quoting some. You also must be knowing a lot of them. And also 4.7 million hectares of tropical forest. These are lost every year to various human activities. And you know, tropical forests are priceless. You cannot set really a price on them. 7 million hectares of natural forests are converted to other uses. 50% of world's wetlands are already gone over the last century only. Total maybe more than 80% gone already. And you know that very well in Manipur. We'll come to that maybe a little bit later. And more than half of the coral reefs are already gone. And the climate change looms over us. Even if we are able to restrict the increase in temperature to 1.5 degrees centigrade, which may be a very, very tall target, even then it is apprehended that 90% of the coral reefs will be vanishing by 2050. So this is really a very grim scenario. And therefore, against all this year's World Environment Day theme says that not only we have to prevent the destruction of ecosystems, but we have lost so much already by our foolhardy actions that we have to reverse the changes and restore as many ecosystems as possible to their normal structure and function. What I would like to say here is that this is not only a science and technological issue. We have a lot of science at our disposal, scientific findings. We have a lot of technology at our disposal. We can put them to misuse and use, both. But what we need perhaps today is a paradigm shift in the role of humanity from destroyer and ruthless exploiter of ecosystems. We have to change from that to the restorers of ecosystems, and also we have to become friends of ecosystems and friends of the other components of ecosystems, not only human beings. So this really calls for a change in our mindset, which is perhaps tougher than having some technology change. And of course, you are all familiar with such destruction, such stories of destruction. It shows bleached corals. Corals in vast stretches are getting bleached, and they retain their beauty nor their ecological function. Wetlands everywhere are being reclaimed. We use the term reclamation as if this was put to very bad use, or they were like wastelands, as the earlier concept was, and then we are reclaiming to civilization, reclaiming to very good use. Peatlands, Indonesia, in India, and many parts. I visited peatlands in Canada. There also a lot of destruction has already taken place, and reckless extraction. And in Indonesia, the peat swamps have been drained and burnt and then totally destroyed. And they store a lot of carbon, which is of great importance, paramount importance in controlling our climate change. And then forests. Forests are nothing but just collection of timber to us. We don't regard forest as anymore. So much of commercial interest is there, consumerist interest is there, that we think of forest only simply as a collection of timber or other kinds of products. And we are not happy with meandering rivers. We want them to be straight like canals. All rivers should be like canals. So this kind of a strategy we have been following. Of course, more recently, this approach has changed. But still, we have such a long history of abusing the environment that today we are in the face of a great crisis. And we can keep on, citing such things around the world. of destruction of ecosystems, damage of ecosystems, or degradation of ecosystems. And therefore, when this year it was not only ecosystem restoration, the message here is reimagine, recreate, restore. And this is actually part of a poem composed by a Hispanic Black lady poetess, and a part of her poem is reimagine, recreate, and restore. So see, here we start with reimagine. That is, we take a pledge to restore the ecosystems, and reimagine means we have to start thinking in a different way. That's the first step. Otherwise, we cannot recreate or restore in a proper way. Maybe that's, I mean, I'm interpreting it like that we have to first reimagine, that the first onus is on our mind. And therefore, the present generation, I'm laying a lot of hope on that. That is the generation restoration. And they have to take up this particular activity and this particular onus on their shoulder, burden on their shoulder, to really go ahead and, reimagine an earth that is not ravaged by human trampling.
Excuse me, sir.
Yeah.
Is the lecture going according to the slides, sir?
Yeah.
Actually,
But I never read the slides, you see, so I'm going maybe any problem?
The first slide. So
Uh-huh.
we are still in the first slide.
Oh, the slides are not moving. But I've in my this thing it is moving. So some problem is there. It happened again. Maybe I went through the window. I had to go through the screen. Maybe.
Yes, sir. Please.
It is very nice.
Then I'll have to escape and then again go back. Okay, and reshare again. Because I used once that problem happened, I remember in another presentation. I was using window option, but then I had to use the screen option. Just a minute. I think I have to come back.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Should I go out and join again? Should I go out and join again? Oh, okay, I'll stop sharing and again share. Yeah. Stop sharing and again share. Yeah. Let me try. Oh, sorry. Yeah, I was going according to my slide only. Okay, I go to my entire screen then. Let's see what happens. No, it's not coming. Okay. Then the center part. Let me see what happens now. But I'm not getting my link.
Sir, you may switch your window to the presentation now.
Mm-hmm. What to do?
It's on the taskbar, sir, on the third tile.
Okay.
The third one.
Mm-hmm. Taskbar on the third.
No, it's on the bottom. I think it's on the third one. Third icon.
Third icon? No. Third icon is chat.
Sir, can you see it from the left? There is two folder on the taskbar. On your taskbar, sir.
Mm-hmm.
There is two folder option. Then on the after the two folder, you can see a presentation PowerPoint icon over there. It's with a red color.
Here I have.
Yeah, below that, sir. Sir, below that. Yeah, there is a Chrome. Yeah, that one.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Is it coming now?
Yeah, sir. You have to put it on the full screen now.
Yeah, full screen. Yeah, fine. Is it coming now?
Okay. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay. So I have actually come to the third or fourth slide. So anyway, I'll just come back very fast. Okay. So this was the second slide. Maybe all about that Silent Spring and the Earth Day celebrations, which I spoke about, and then the United Nations conference. I have shown some pictures here of that conference, and also Mrs. Indira Gandhi, the then Prime Minister of India, giving her deliberation. She was focusing on poverty as a kind of pollution, and also a lot of environmental activists were there. So see, actually, Silent Spring had already generated a lot of environmental activism all around the world, especially in the West, and it was also picking up in India later at a later stage, so this was a momentous occasion. And then we had different, celebrations. And here just I showed you some examples of how we are abusing the environment in a different way, how we are destroying the very integrity of ecosystems. And that's why today we have to urgently, address the question of ecosystem restoration. And here, yes, I had come to this slide. So perhaps it is okay now. Can you see?
Yes, we can.
Yes, sir, very
Oh,
clearly.
okay. So here I was emphasizing on the word reimagine, because I was really thinking when I was reading about this whole, motto, the whole theme, that yes, we have no dearth of technology to really, do ecosystem restoration. There are n number of technologies for different situations, and provided we have the resources and the manpower and other capability, there is no problem. We should be able to restore the ecosystems. But the main perhaps obstacle in front of us is that we have with our mindset, that we have to have the right mindset and the right approach in order to change the ecosystems from damaged to again intact ones. And also that's why I'm bringing in the idea or the philosophical idea of domination versus participation in ecosystem. That is not the idea of domination, but of coexistence with respect for each other. And particularly when I'm addressing a gathering in Manipur, where you have a whole tradition of Umang lies, I think this is very relevant here. And because in ecology, where the eco comes from oikos, which in Greek means home, and ecosystems are actually our homes, not only for the humans, but for every form of life. So this for me is the message of World Environment Day. Reimagine, put a great emphasis on reimagine. And also then when we reimagine and we think on an international way, then I go to the old adage, think globally and act locally. And actually this was, this slogan was first put by long back in 1915 by a Scottish planner and conservationist, Patrick Geddes. And even in those days, he could create, cities which were having a lot of open spaces, which actually today in many cities in developing countries, this is far from a reality that we don't have community spaces, we don't have open spaces. But Patrick Geddes he laid great emphasis on reallocating space for nature, for open areas. And today in city planning, we have to always think of open areas and areas given to space, given to nature. And today when the pandemic has, struck us, we actually very, very, we need, desperately, we need open spaces, common open spaces spread all over a city so that people could go out and safely walk around and spend their time, and that way have much better mental and physical stability and mental stability and physical well-being. And this idea was later picked up by René Dubos, who also deliberated on that. So I think we have to take this again where we can think globally, but also then put all these ideas at our local level. And then only, because ecosystem means local level. Moment we put several ecosystems together, we go to landscape and finally to biosphere. But these are all linked together. And if we work at the local level, then we achieve results at the global level. So I'll just talk a little about the international and national initiatives which have already been taken up in the field of ecosystem restoration. One area where a lot of work has been done are the coral reef ecosystems. And they're the rainforests of ocean, they're often called. They're so rich in diversity, but they're getting destroyed all around the world. But right now, coral reef restoration work is going on in more than 56 countries, including India. And one of the earliest projects in India is in the Gulf of Kutch in Gujarat, which was launched in 2008, jointly by the Wildlife Trust of India and the Gujarat Forest Department. And a very welcome feature is that it's supported by Tata Chemical Limited. So we have an NGO, scientific environmental NGO, we have the government, and we have the private sector. So I think this is a very, very welcome combination. And again, there is another NGO, Reef Watch, doing a lot of work in Andamans since 2018, and also another coastal impact in Goa in 2020. So some work is picking up in India, and a lot of techniques are being employed, direct transplantation of corals, then the very innovative method of coral gardening, constructing artificial reefs, providing substrate support, manipulation, stabilization, and so on, so that we don't have bleached corals, but we have the beautiful, corals, the beauty of coral reef and the biodiversity, rich biodiversity of coral reef, which is almost unparalleled in the whole world. And in the field of forests at the international level, United Nations has founded the UN Forum on Forests, and which is a high-level intergovernmental policy forum, and also 21st March 2021, also observed as the International Day of Forests. And again, in the pandemic situation, the role of forests have been felt in a very big way. And also there is a possibility that because of our, abuse of the forest, because of encroaching on the forest, a lot of zoonotic diseases are jumping into the human beings. They're crossing over from their animal hosts. And so we have to conserve the forest if we want to keep ourselves safe against, more future occurrences of zoonotic diseases such as COVID-19. Of course, with the corollary that COVID-19, there is a theory that it was not from the field, but lab generated, but we don't go into that controversy. And also the collaborative partnership on forests in 2001. Now, against this international backdrop, in India, we have about 96.4 million hectare land, which is affected by degradation and desertification, about 30% of our geographical area. And the Forest Survey of India also has reports that have identified about 63 million hectare of open forest, so or degraded forest, which need to be, restored. And so, therefore, we have the forest landscape restoration exercise, which is a very robust exercise, and which really could yield very fruitful results. And then we are also part of the Voluntary Bond Challenge, again a very innovative project, and by the government of Germany and IUCN, and started in 2011, which has a target of restoration of 150 million hectare of degraded and deforested landscapes by 2020, and now it has been raised to 350 million hectare by 2030, and this marks the end of the UN restoration decade. And India also is very much a part of this exercise. We are not lagging behind in any of these. The earlier target was 21 million hectare of degraded forest to be restored, but now it has been increased to 26 million hectare by 2030. And we have, of course, the necessary scientific capability, the institutional capacity, because of our very three-layer political system. Gram Sabhas, we have Van Panchayats, forest protection committees, and so on and so forth in different areas. And so I think we are well equipped to, realize this ambitious goal. And the third, freshwaters. I'm not going into everything, but then just giving some examples of certain ecosystems which are being, restored on a priority basis. In India also, the MOEFCC has prepared DPR for the rejuvenation of 13 rivers. Ganga was already being implemented through the Ministry of Jal Shakti, but now 13 more rivers are there, including Brahmaputra from Assam in the northeastern region, and also a host of other rivers, Beas, Chenab, Jhelum, Ravi, Sutlej, Luni, Yamuna, Narmada, Godavari, Kaveri, Krishna, and Mahanadi. So almost throughout India, the major rivers, there is a very ambitious project of restoring them and sort of maintaining their ecosystem functioning at a very high level. And also there is a private initiative from the International Association for Human Values, IAHV, in association with Art of Living. And they have also undertaken programs in about 41 rivers of Maharashtra, Karnataka, Tamil Nadu, and Kerala. And so this represents the role of civil society, the role of private individuals, community-driven solutions for rejuvenation of rivers. And I think this also is a very, very welcome exercise. Now, okay, there are, I could keep on going giving such exercises. Many of you might be knowing many more examples. Obviously, they're taking place, but that's not the point here. The point here is that, yes, already a lot of restoration work has been taken up, and also more priority will be given to that. And if we come from this national and international perspective to a local perspective, of course, I may be, because we have a lot of knowledgeable personalities here from the state of Manipur who are highly experienced in dealing with the various environmental issues in Manipur. I am more of an onlooker, being in a neighboring state. But of course, I was fortunate to have a lot of students from Manipur who had worked with me, and so I have some information and idea about Manipur. And going into history, long back in 1835, one of the earliest published accounts from the Western people, of course, was by R.B. Pemberton, who mainly came here on a military and strategic, task. But then he was also noting about the physiography, about the, unique geographical location and unique physiography of Manipur. And he had noted, the valley, rich valley surrounded by hills, which are also very rich in forest, and the valley almost full of, very lots of geels and marshes, as he said, with inexhaustible source of water and fodder. And also fodder for the famous Manipur ponies, which attracted his interest a lot because he was from a military background. Now in 2020, a lot of reports are there which laments the extensive loss of wetlands in Manipur. So this is where we have come from almost inexhaustible supply of water and fodder and beauty to today, where extensive loss of wetlands have occurred, and almost all sections in Manipur, the environmentally conscious section of Manipuri society are lamenting in different forum on this loss of wetland. And also, of course, at the same time, a lot of restoration project has been taken up, as I was learning, 650 crore Lamfelpat restoration project. But also there has been a lot of discussion and debate on the methodology of restoration. So I think here the great challenge is to somehow strike a balance, or make the entire urban development very much ecology oriented, to keep the wetlands and also to have urban development. I think this will be a great challenge in the coming years for Manipur. We can have a discussion on that. And of course, there are lots of local experts and knowledgeable people who have to address the exact, the methodology to be chosen, because that will depend a lot on the local conditions, the local requirements, and the challenge is to find the right choice of techniques for wetland restoration. And generally, I would think that preventing sediment and pollutant flow into the wetlands would be of prime importance. One of my students was working on the Nambul River, and there is a large amount of heavy metals and other toxic substances ultimately flowing into the Loktag Lake. And but after that, I was looking at some of the reports where the Nambul has been very, very quite, efficiently have been restored to a large extent. I don't know whether I'm correct or not, but a lot of work has gone into that, and therefore maybe there is some improvement in the situation. So there is great scope for innovative urban sewage and waste management. So here I was suggesting that perhaps you could think of strategically placing constructed wetlands for pre-treatment of wastewater, because everywhere very costly techniques may not be feasible or may not be possible to be installed, and constructed wetlands could really help. When I was in Europe, actually in Spain, in the southern part of Spain, there is a Ramsar site, Lagoon La Albufera, and it was getting polluted by the waste from the Valencia city. And what they did was they converted a number of smaller wetlands on the outskirts, 4 wetlands in fact, into constructed wetlands, and planted them with reeds and other aquatic plants. And the sewage is first, the wastewater from Valencia is first directed through these and then into La Albufera. And as a result, like this, it is first led through this Tancat de la Pipa, which is an artificial wetland, converted rice field. Since I was working in this field, so I had visited this place and interacted with the scientists there. And now the water quality of La Albufera has really improved to a large extent. Of course, still a lot of work needs to be done, but as you can see, the wildlife is back, and a lot of migratory birds are also now returning back to this system. So this could be one of the approaches. In India, near home, in Haus Khas Lake, Delhi, some companies and with some NGO have taken up this sort of treatment of the waste. So these could be placed as a kind of intermediary. Also in Hyderabad, the one Israeli company is trying this. So that's at a higher scale, larger scale, people have been doing. In our university, in my research group, in fact, with a number of students from Manipur only, they're right now stationed in Manipur after getting their PhD degree. We have tried a couple of plants for cleaning up removal of heavy metals with quite reasonable success. One of them is Iphomia Aquatica, which again is extensively used in Manipur as a vegetable, not only in Manipur, in entire eastern India. And it can vegetatively propagate itself. So that's a great advantage, that you could manipulate it in a number of ways, and depending on your requirement, and use it for removal of heavy metals. Not only that, we have also tried it on grey water quality improvement, and it works fairly well. We had in fact some papers on that. So we could have different kinds of approaches by using these plants, and such constructed wetlands, depending on the scale, they could be very small and could be large also, depending on our requirement and availability and resources, and could be placed between the polluted wastewater and the actual receiving system, and that way save the receiving system to a large extent. Here are some papers that we had published, and in fact 3 papers on metal removal, and also a large number of three papers, not in journals, but in international proceedings, and also in a Springer publication. We have shown how kitchen grey water, domestic grey water, and laboratory grey water quality could be improved to a large extent and recycled using such aquatic plants and gravel and similar treatment. So this sort of treatment could perhaps be opted for if found suitable. So this is just a suggestion that I thought I'll make, thinking of the requirements in Manipur Valley. And to the forest regeneration, restoration, I think one great challenge is that the very dense forest, in my opinion, it's a quality improvement which is required in the Manipur forest, because we have about 77% of Manipur under forests. So there is no dearth of forest as such, but then there is dearth of very dense forest, which are ecologically very important, and also in terms of biodiversity, harboring biodiversity, and therefore increasing this extent is a priority task. Quality improvement is required. And I was just thinking that in the neighboring Assam, in the state where I live, there is a collaborative project with a French agency called the Agence Française de Développement from France, and they have a project which is now in phase 2. And the idea is, as I was telling, that I'm talking about the mindset and the community participation. So the whole approach is healthier ecosystems and happier communities. We can only be happy, especially the communities which are living in the rural areas and who are much close to the earth, not urban communities. They are happy only when ecosystems are healthy. And so that approach we have to take, and similar approach has been taken in Assam with some amount of success. As you can see, a lot of forest rehabilitation target is there, and also human wildlife coexistence. I don't know how much this is an issue in Manipur, but in Assam, of course, it's a very big issue. And also the main approach is through JFMC and through AR. As you can see here, they're planning mainly through assisted regeneration plantations, some ANR plantations, and also JFMC plantations. So JFMC is a big focus, big emphasis. I don't know, perhaps something along similar lines is already being done in Manipur, but could be. I just thought that I would cite this as an example where community mediated and community supported projects could somehow yield some good results, and also a lot of public appreciation. And then before I wind up, maybe just a few words about the Reimagine. It has really touched me, because through this Reimagine we can go beyond anthropocentrism. That is, if we always think, I think like that if we always think of only conserving or restoring a forest, for example, just because it is useful for me, useful for us, then I think that's not a very, very lasting approach. We have to conserve the forest because of the forest, because of all the components of the forest. That's the real ecosystem approach. If we take only for human interest, that's an anthropocentric approach, and it has its own limitations, and it will not last longer. So I think today, when we, in the 48th year after 1974, when we had taken the theme Only One Earth, now today we have come to this, where we want to review, reimagine our relationship with nature. So we not only look at the ecosystems, we look at ourselves, and we ask a fundamental question, that in future, what should be our relationship with nature? What should be our relationship with the ecosystems? Are we going to really go deeper and try to become partners and participants in nature? As you know, a lot of thinkers, very hard scientists like Paul Ehrlich, and Paul Ehrlich now believes that without ecocentric approach, with whatever science and technology we may have, we are not going to have solutions for our environmental problems. Simply technocentric solutions are not going to take us anywhere. And as I said before, that Manipur perhaps is one of the best places to understand this, with your rich tradition of Umang lies, which I had the good fortune to study along with two of my students who were working with me. And through this, I also learned about the great cultural richness of Manipur, your different festivals, how they're intricately interwoven with nature, and how you have a whole societal system for conserving nature. And perhaps you need to revive that, and this could be the nucleus around which the ecosystem protection, regeneration, and restoration would proceed, and maybe Manipur model will become a model for the whole world to follow. So with this hope, today I would like to say thank you for your patient hearing, and it was a pleasure.
Thank you, sir, for your knowledgeable, suggestive, and interesting lecture. So is there any queries from the participants? Sir is there to interact with us.
Professor, you talk about slightly in one line about the Lamphel Part Restoration Program. So may I know, you have are you any part of the team from higher authorities to be part of, maybe from the ministry side about the restoration, or I know from where you heard about the restoration thing, because Mr. Irom Royal, who is present today, he is also a nodal officer of the project. So may I know, like, are you in any way part of the team in the restoration program, representing the ministry, the government of India side?
No, absolutely not. I was just reading newspaper reports and also some reports about the very appropriate project, I would say. But there was some discussion about the methods adopted, and obviously which should always take place, about the suitability of the methods and the priority, etc., but not from the ministry side. I was just as a lay reader, I was reading about that, being interested. So I was just citing this example because this is a very important, I think, very, very crucial project, because Lamphel, I think, is, if I'm correct, is one of the remaining, surviving wetlands in the Manipur Valley.
Exactly, in the urban area, exactly, yeah. And another one, you talk about Iphomia, which sort of filter the wetlands, but again, we consume that highly by even both in the rural and urban areas.
Yeah.
So in any way, will it affect the health of the consumer, since it is, filtering the heavy metals present in those wetlands?
No, actually, a lot of study has also been done on in Thailand on the wild population. And if you are, if you're not eating that plant, if you're not collecting from highly, say, metal or toxic polluted water, if you're collecting it from relatively clean water, then I think the toxic levels will be at the acceptable level, and it's otherwise a very good food with a lot of nutraceutical quality. But only thing, I think we have to take care that we are not consuming it from a system where it is growing and where there is already known instance of heavy metal pollution. In that case, of course, it can have very high levels of heavy metals. So it could be used either ways. It's a very, very novel plant where you could have it also, but also use it in situations for removal.
Okay. Thank you, Professor.
Hello, Professor.
We have Dr. Bala Prasad here, who was our ex-PCCF head of Forest Force and Special Secretary, ex-Special Secretary of Panchayati Raj, Ministry of Panchayati Raj System. So I think when you talked about the qualitative change in the forests of Manipur, I will just like to listen to him little bit about it, because he was here for a long time, concerned very much. He was also member secretary.
I would like to learn. I would like to also learn.
So I request him to give his comments.
Can I step in?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay. I have to say two things. One is about Kabul Lamjao National Park, which is a huge success story, because once upon a time Shanghai was declared extinct. From that position, we have a very good population of Shanghai, and a very good habitat protection has been done. That is an ongoing project. The second thing, we have under implementation a project with the support of Germany, and that is about the restoration of ecosystem of the catchment area of Imphal River and Thobal River. That is under progress, and I hope things will move further better. And Manipur is proud of having more than 75% area of the forest cover, and it is a well-managed forest, and I hope things will further improve. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Actually, is that German organization GIZ?
KfW. Same
Okay.
thing.
Okay.
KfW, which is a bank of the government of Germany, and it is supporting this project.
Okay, nice to know. Thank you.
Here, thank you, sir. Here, Dr. Ajay is there. And sir, actually, we just want to listen from you, sir, something, because you worked in ISRO, you were once Science Congress in that president for that session. I have heard you. And then, sir, just a little bit illuminating on the fact that when we are talking of restoration, we have to set some priority also maybe. And then, sir, your remote sensing and GIS, they work a lot there. So, sir, some in 2-3 lines, something your comments, sir, on this.
Okay. I think Professor Gupta has covered very nicely the entire gamut of the ecosystem and its restoration. What I would like to mention at your suggestion or request that how ISRO is contributing. See, one of the important information which is required for restoration of any ecosystem is its status, present status, what was the past status, and how is the status now, whether it is changing in the positive direction or negative direction. So ISRO has been carrying out the work related to mapping and monitoring of almost all the important natural ecosystems. Whether it is a coral reef, it's a mangroves, it's a forest, it's a wetlands. In fact, ISRO is the organization which has mapped first time the coral reefs, and there is no other organization which maps and monitors the coral reefs of the entire country. Similarly, wetlands. ISRO is the organization which provides data on wetland mapping and monitoring. And Dr. Sunita is here. She has been integral part of that project. She has contributed in that. Then similarly, desert ecosystem, which is a very important ecosystem. You find a different kind of living organisms or the biodiversity in desert. So ISRO is the organization which has provided first time about the statistics or the status of desertification in India. So likewise, almost or maybe Himalayan glaciers. So almost all the ecosystems, the ISRO does the inventory and monitoring using remote sensing, and otherwise it is impossible to monitor such kind of ecosystems, and that too at a frequent interval. So this is what I wanted to add, and a lot of work is being done on the restoration also as far as ISRO is concerned. ISRO doesn't do restoration on its own, it's just provide the prescription, provides the treatment, what should be the treatment. So I think in nutshell, I would like to say this much only. The contribution of ISRO in terms of monitoring, mapping and monitoring of ecosystem, which is a vital information for ecosystem restoration program. Thank you very much.
Yeah, actually, as an independent researcher, now that I'm meeting you here, Professor Ajay, so yeah, it has been ISRO data has been invaluable to us because this is the only place where under one cover we could get, say, wetland data at various scales, district to state to national level, and so it was very, very, very useful.
Then another thing I would like to mention here: when we say that ISRO has done mapping, it is not ISRO; it's a national team, and ISRO involves all those who are working in that particular field. That's what I mentioned. Dr. Sunita, she has been integral part of mapping and monitoring of wetlands. So likewise, we in ISRO, we involve all those experts which are in the country and make a national team. So basically, this kind of mapping or monitoring is done by the national team, of course, coordinated by ISRO. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, so much. We have Professor Niranjan Behra, from distinguished ecologist from Sambalpur University, and sir worked on a number of fields, but some of the student thesis I have seen, and he worked on sacred grove. And here in Manipur also, sir has talked, Sir Abhik Gupta has talked that his students have worked on sacred grove. So we know that these are the in situ patches where the whole range of biodiversity is protected. It is linked to the cultural ethos of Manipur, and very distinct, related with the culture and socio-cultural aspect, traditions since times immemorial. So that is there, very correct. And then we have found, rather, sir, when we were working on it, that input-output ratio, we talked of nitrogen, phosphorus. They are very important elements in any forest or any place for growth of vegetation. So we have found that this input-output ratio is found to be more than 1. So that means, the root system and the whole gamut of that litter and others, they are able to protect these valuable nutrients, which are very significant. Then another thing, we have worked on a number of groves in Manipur. And what we are doing, we have done diversity index, etc. That is different. But simple inventory, when we compare one grove with other, we are getting, we have calculated some similarity index. And in it, sir, we are getting value always less than 0.5. What does it indicate? It indicates that they are very significant as far as the species are concerned. So in this way, the spread of these groves in nook and corner, though of valley of Manipur, it shows that whatever species are there specific, they are protecting it. And what we have found also that some of these species, which before me other workers have worked, and they found that some of these species, they are rare, are endangered, are vulnerable in the forest, they are found growing in the grove. So that is why what you have pointed out is very significant. Now I will ask Professor Niranjan Behra to share his experience, because he has worked on a number of things, and but also on the sector group, sir.
First of all, I thank Professor Gupta for very illustrative and nice presentation, dissecting the entire problem in a very nice manner and all that. I need to supplement that we have now enough science and technology. The thing is that we are lacking in conscience. We have developed much of the science, but we don't have the conscience. Therefore, perhaps we have been converting ourselves to Ravana. Instead of Brahma, we have been converting ourselves to Ravana. So therefore, there is a problem. And the entire humanity is suffering from a disease. And this disease is a very precarious and very dangerous disease. The name of that disease is affluenza. Perhaps it is going to give us a trophic level, a special trophic level, that is consumer trophic, super consumer level. So nothing is going to satisfy us. And that's the reason why many of the natural ecosystems, as you have rightly told, that forest throughout the country has been degraded like anything. And my perception with experience from the forest is that in many of the areas of India and elsewhere also, the forest is considered as a commodity. But it is very sad that, look, whenever a community is going to be converted and treated as a commodity, then everything is gone. See, we can very well take care of the commodity, but we cannot develop a community. It is very difficult because it takes millions of years to evolve a community, to get a community fully evolved and all that. But we are destroying, and it is the sake of the affluenza. And as you have told, that we need to restore. But first of all, we have to think of the degradation. Whenever we are degrading a natural landscape, natural community or natural ecosystem, this degradation involves loss of, a good many number of parameters, maybe 1,000 parameters, and all these parameters, they intertalk among themselves and all that. So whenever we try to, after degrading, whenever we try to think of our strategy for the restoration is going to be a question mark, because all these parameters we have destroyed, and it is simply humanly not possible to get back all these parameters to its fullest level. So therefore, sometimes in ecology it is told that very difficult to restore. Whatever we are going to do, only we can reclaim. That means some of the parameters, they can be reverted back, so that we are going to get these things and all that. So therefore, we have to think of that before degrading, we have to think of this particular issue. And many people, they say very much that a forest has been degraded, we can create a forest. I think this is the fullest of the full statement. A forest you cannot, create. A forest evolves as a community and all that. So therefore, this sort of thing, what we need actually, we need some educational program to enrich us, so that we should accumulate conscience. And after accumulating conscience, we should develop certain knowledge. And if we develop certain knowledge, we are going to appreciate this natural ecosystem and all that. And when we start appreciating, in the next step, we are going to, develop some loving attitude to that. And when we try to develop this loving attitude, one, we are not going to destroy it. And second one, we are going to protect it. And that's what the conservation and all that. So therefore, this should be the staircase formula for the entire country, particularly for developing countries like India. That we start with education, then go for the knowledge, then go for the appreciation, then go for the love, and then go for the conservation. So that the conservation is, in true sense, is going to be futile and it is going to work for us and all that. So once again, I'll be telling Professor Gupta for nicely presenting the things and all that, and dissecting the problem in a all possible manner, so that we can think, brood over the problem to get into the solution and all that. So thank you, Professor Gupta and Dr. Assam Madam, for giving me a chance to share my views on this particular aspect. Thank you.
With the permission of the President, Dr. Asa Gupta, can I kindly request Dr. Sadanand Singh Thakur?
Yes, why not? Why not? Sure. I myself wanted to listen.
Yeah.
Sir, please.
Sir, T.S. Singh,
Sir,
kindly
please.
on the Loktak Wetlands of Manipur. You are one of
Sir,
the
please unmute, sir. Please. You are mute, sir. Dr. Sadananda. We cannot listen, sir.
Is it okay?
Yes,
Oh,
yes.
Yes,
Ah,
yes.
okay. Okay.
Now you are audible.
Thank you very much, Gupta ji and Behra ji. Very nice presentation and your recommendations. Okay. I have worked for Loktak Lake and entire India. Okay, that's wetland mapping of India. Okay. In Manipur, almost I have spent around 10 years on Loktak and different wetlands of Loktak and Imphal Valley. Okay. If you see the orography or physiography of the Manipur, it is surrounded by the forest, surrounded by the hills and these things. It itself is a big watershed. It is a big watershed. Okay. What is my observation is Loktak Lake is basically, it was one of the topmost wetland of India, where it used to attract thousands of migratory birds from different countries. Because of the Ithai barrage, most of the wetland got submerged. But notice because the water is used for hydropower generation. Okay, number one. Number two, this is the first time I am listening that water bodies are got polluted by the heavy metals. Okay, I don't know what is the source of that heavy metals. I don't know. Number one. Number two, Iphomia Aquatica is okay. One of the plant which is along the shoreline only, it grows, doesn't grow in the deeper waters. But whereas water hyacinth is a floating vegetation, it is almost covers the entire Loktak Lake. And during monsoon, even that Imphal rivers, you see the color of the water. It is full of sediments, red sediments. Okay, red sediments and water hyacinth. What I mean to say, we have to go for the bank constructions or plantation we have to do along the river so that the erosion process can be stopped. Number one. Number two, there is infrastructure development is very much required in the Imphal because it's so congested area and the poverty is very high in that area. People are eating water is available from the Loktak Lake or nearby in the snails and all those things they are eating. Okay, we have to think of the human population also very important role. And at this juncture, I suggest one thing, we have to have, okay, it is a World Environment Day. Why not to have every state should have its own environmental day. Manipur Environmental Day. It should be there and we have to prepare warriors, environmental warrior to counter the degradation of various ecosystems. This is my suggestion. Okay. Hello.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Oh.
Yes, yes,
I know the many issues. I know many issues because Sunita, I know she is working on the watershed. Please take watershed. Give students to one watershed to develop that area. We have experts in the ISRO, retired persons. We can develop anything because I have gone through almost entire Manipur. I have visited. I am telling.
yes, sir.
Yeah, even that 40 kilometers that Keulamba Park, no, that there was a great demand. How to demarcate that thing? The entire map has been prepared by me. Number one. Number two, before the Ithai barrage, the entire area was used for cultivation. Okay, some aquaculture ponds and all those. That map also is prepared, but with a controversy because that's why it has not published at all because it creates problem because revenue land is Okay, revenue land has to be taken into consideration, and we have to pay back the money to the persons who purchased that land. They used to cultivate, they used to cultivate various things. Because of submergence, the entire land has gone. They have become very poor people, I am telling, very poor people, I am telling. So please take care of ecosystem. Whatever help is required, I am ready to do. I am ready to help. Okay, and Iphomia Aquatica along with water hyacinth, it should be used to remove the heavy metals. Already in Bombay, many industrial areas, the water hyacinth they are using. They are using and just burning it. But people, what they do, they will harvest these things and they'll put them on the bank. Once they decompose, again that heavy metals will enter in the ecosystem, water ecosystem. Okay, these are the certain issues are there. Okay, I will talk to Sunita in detail afterwards. Thank you very much for giving this opportunity. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Can I have Dr. Kakade from Mumbai Institute of Science? Dr. Kakade is there? Dr. Kakade worked on green belt, developing green belt zone for city of Mumbai. Whether he's here?
Yes, madam. Yes, madam. Yes.
Sir, please share your experience. You are here very much from Mumbai. Please.
Yeah, madam. Lecture is very. I think all of you get some knowledge from restoration of ecology and all. And I'm working in the green belt development here in Mumbai. Hello.
Hello, sir. Hello. Yeah.
So such type of programs, restoration programs should be implemented everywhere, and our scientific community should be meet regularly so that we can exchange our knowledge and improve the ecology restoration process and all. Thank you very much for
Thank you. I have examined your student thesis, Asavari, and I know she has worked very nicely on carbon sequestration and all those things and give a very good model. So thank you, sir, for joining. Thank you.
Thank you.
So Dr. O.P. Tripathi is here. He is very active ecologist from Northeast. Can I listen him? Dr. O.P. Tripathi, now at present professor at Mizoram University. Dr. O.P. Tripathi is here. Can I get Dr. O.P. Tripathi? Maybe not. Okay, well, now any more questions to our learned speaker? We have Member Secretary Biodiversity Board, Dr. Punni from Manipur Biodiversity Board.
I think he left.
Oh, he left. Okay. So, research scholars and others, member of team Seed and Shakti. Any question to our honorable speaker?
May I have a question, ma'am?
Yeah, please, Emotional.
My question is to Sir Professor Gupta. So, as you mentioned, sir is still there, no?
Yeah, we can listen. Please tell.
Hello, sir.
Yeah, please go ahead.
Sir, as you mentioned, that changing the mindset is more important than use of technology in restoration process of ecosystem. So, do you think that the present education system needs some changes in that regard, that is for changing the mindset of the people, like changes in the syllabus or curriculum of school and higher education system? So I would like to I will request you to illuminate some good points.
Yeah, definitely. What I meant was that you may have different A, B, C choice of technology, but if you're depending on your mindset, you'll use the technology or use the same technology to destroy or to create and so on. So that's what actually I meant. And about the education system and all, yes, of course, education system undergoes its normal revision and incorporation and all that, and definitely tries to make it more amenable to the problems that are around. But like Professor Behra had mentioned, once you have too much afflictions of this affluenza and stuff like that, when your entire progress is measured by GDP, so whether you earn that GDP by polluting the ecosystem or you earn that GDP by protecting the ecosystem, becomes a choice for you. And there lies the mindset. So definitely, yes, we have to reorient perhaps ourselves right from the school stage to take a more kind of what should I say, constructive view of the entire thing, holistic approach.
Coming to regarding the Nambul River, as you mentioned in your presentation, the Nambul River, there's good result of restoration work, no doubt, but the problem still exists in spite of continuous effort that the government is giving. That is people's mindset, which is the ultimate cause of all the problems there. So when we go for some restoration work or anything, any project for the, constructive project, but ultimately the people's mindset is the real problem it comes out to be. So I think my opinion is it should be inclusive. The very methodology should be inclusive, but if there is some changes in the curriculum, that is from the grassroots level, the mindset has to be corrected, or education should be given to the primary stage so that we can continue carry on the good mindset of the people, so that we can come up good society, a healthy society. That is, I would like to move. Thank you, sir.
Thank you for your observations.
Sir, here I will like to add just one thing, because sir has used the word biosphere in his theme and others. So actually, rather, because of our activities, we have converted this biosphere. The earth is the beautiful planet, only planet where the life is there, and then we have converted this planet earth because of our activities, with so many activities and so many nuisances, all pollution, all those things, wastage, others are occurring. Now the talk is that we are using technology, so we are living in high-tech world, but we have converted this biosphere into technosphere. Now we are talking of restoration. Sir has also said that before using any technology, just think, rethink, and then apply your mindset, and then see that in what way, because it will never come to the original state, but naturally it's structured and functioning to some extent. When it is restored, it will provide some ecosystem services, it will provide livelihood option to the people, and it will be useful, definitely. So there is a one word which a Russian, I'm forgetting the name of the scientist, and then he is saying that we have converted this biosphere into technosphere. Let us convert this technosphere into noosphere. And there he is, this noosphere, when he is using this word, it means that thinking, what you are saying, it is rethink. And then you have to apply that idea, that philosophy, that it has to be for all. It is for use of all. We have to not follow any greed. We have to not be greedy and utilize the thing so that there will be sustainability and development. So this just I wanted to add after your remark and Rajkumar Imosana's remark. Thank you.
The Russian scientist is Vladimir Vernadsky.
Vernadsky, yes.
Yeah, he
Russian, yes.
That noosphere idea.
Yes. Thank you. Yeah. We have Professor Tiwari with us. Whether he would like to say something? Professor M.G. Tiwari is there. Professor M.G. Tiwari? Sir, can you listen me? I saw him joining. Madam Alka is here from Nagpur University. Madam Madam Alka. Hello. You are mute, madam. Unmute. Please unmute yourself.
Yeah, madam.
Yeah.
बोलिए मैडम.
Am I audible?
हाँ audible.
One World Environmental.
Madam Asa Gupta, I am thankful to you for providing such a wonderful platform and giving a feast of lectures, such eminent personality and threadbare discussion over each and every point. It is really something which one should not miss. And my question is just before some time, one speaker was saying that Iphomia Aquatica and this another plant, Hyacinth. These are two very important plants as far as water ecosystem, hydro ecosystem is concerned. As far as Iphomia Aquatica is concerned, it is growing in the marshy land on the side of the water body, so it is providing a good habitat to the birds and other small animals. But as far as water hyacinth is concerned, it is a nuisance. It is very, very invasive, and within a short span of time, it covers the entire water body, and in that way, it is harmful to the water ecosystem. If we see Bhopal Tal, which is considered as one of the biggest water body of the country, now it is reduced to a very small area. So loss of the water is one thing, covering entire water ecosystem and converting it to the land is because of this water hyacinth. So how can we use this water hyacinth as a good material for maintaining the water quality of the hydro ecosystem?
Actually, when Sir Abhik Gupta was saying, I think he was talking of artan and Theraphyllus. Is it not?
It's okay.
Yeah.
Can I just respond to Ma'am Chaturvedi's question? Yeah, very pertinent question. But actually, what happens is, if you put it in the open water, then water hyacinth can breed so prolifically that it will become an invasive weed. It's an invasive weed, actually, invasive plant. So it will create more problem than solve problem. But actually now, even in UK, they have used this, but in an innovative way. Like, you keep it confined. Don't use it in the main water body. What they have done, one river they have purified, a lot of metal load, etc. they have removed. What they did was they constructed another isolated pond kind of container outside the river, diverted the river water to that, put some screens so that no propagules can escape, and then again let the treated water into the river. That way, they put a series of treatment steps like that, treatment ponds, cisterns like that, and they could improve the water quality. So it has to be in a confined condition. Even for Iphomia, it can be invasive in certain conditions. So I think some kind of protective measure has to be adopted.
So a good technology is involved because you are placing it in confinement and then running of the water through that confined area for purification. Very good, sir. Thank you.
Professor Tiwari is there. Professor Tiwari. We can have last comment from him, then we can move on. Professor Tiwari is there. Not there. Okay, then I think we have very good discussion, elaborate discussion. So over to Ibechobi.
Thank you, ma'am. I think today we have a nice interaction, brainstorming interaction with Abhik Gupta, with all the experts and dignitaries here, with different suggestions and innovative ideas. So now I request Professor Asa Gupta from Professor of Manipur University in Department of Life Sciences and presently chairman and convener of Sheet and Sakti Manipur to give presidential address. So, ma'am, please.
Honorable Chief Guest of today's function, Professor Abhik Gupta, who was Pro Vice Chancellor, Assam University, Silchar, very distinguished ecologist from Northeast India, fellow of NIE. And we have other very distinguished persons with us in today's meeting, Professor Ajay from Emeritus Scientist from Ahmedabad, Professor T.S. Singh from ISRO. Then we have got Professor Niranjan Behra from Sambhalpur University, Dr. Ismita Sharma from Raipur, Professor Veena Pani Dubey from Bilaspur. We have got many other persons. Dr. Aarti Sahuji joined, Professor Alka Chaturvedi, both from Nagpur, Dr. Kakade from Mumbai, Dr. Aliva from Sambhalpur University again, Professor M.G. Tiwari. I have seen him, but now I could not see him. He is ex-president from Mental Science Section, Science Congress. Then Professor T.S. Singh, Professor Ajay, Professor Dr. Kanchan Mala. She is our ex-medical officer, Health Center, Manipur University. Poisam Sobita, Professor O.P. Tripathi from Mizoram University, Dr. Saurabh Dev from Tripura University. Then we have Professor Mohinder Pratap Singh, earlier from Forest Department, Chief Conservative Forest. Now he is from Energy Council, a commission of Manipur. Then Dr. Premila Chanu, Principal from Modern College. Dr. Shashi Agarwal, Principal from Churachandpur, Maharashtra. And a number of persons, Dr. Punni, from Member Secretary from Secretary from Manipur Biodiversity Board. Many names I may be missing. Dr. Bala Prasad, who was our PCCF, ex-PCCF, Head of Forest Force and Special Secretary to Ministry of Panchayati Raj System. He was our speaker on World Forestry Day, 21 March. So a number of stalwarts. I'm so happy today. We have very good discussion. Sir has taken a very pertinent topic on this World Environment Day, reaffirming our commitments to the biosphere. And he started with this Rachel Carson, Silent Spring, that how the sensation was created by the book, that how pesticides they are creating problems in the environment. He talked of UNEP. He talked of 1974, 72, that conference of Stockholm where Indira Gandhi was present. He talked of then how we have lost the different ecosystems, coral reef, wetland, and many other things with climate change looming over it. So we have to take place to restore these various ecosystems. So a mantra was given, rather keywords. He is saying that on this 2021 World Environment Day, reimagine, recreate and restore. It's true. Then he talked about with examples, think globally, act locally. And then Patrick Geddes, he has told, a Scottish planner. I remember, sir, Patrick Geddes came to India and he was asked by Maharaja of Indore for city planning of Indore. And he remained here for some time and he has done it. So thank you for reminding us the very good memory of Sir Patrick Geddes, the Scottish planner. Then you have talked about various international and national initiatives which have been taken. You have talked on UN forum about various restoration projects, about forest, for landscape forest restoration, bone challenge, and a number of things. And then how the institutional mechanism is to be evolved and to go to up to the grassroots level, so as to involve the people. You have talked about restoration of this river Ganga, Brahmaputra, and a number of rivers. In Ministry of Jal Shakti, you have talked about other projects, and then in Maharashtra also the things are going on. Then you have talked about in Manipur. In Manipur perspective, you are talking about Pemberton, who has visited the valley and the hills of Manipur, charmed by its beauty, written a very good memoir of Manipur. You talked about Malamphel project and then the need of the better technology, appropriate technology for restoration. You stressed on it. So we have then you talked about that how we have to prevent our these pollution load and other waste material sediment which are going in the river, then coming to Loktak, and then the problems are cropping up. You talked in elaborate way unconstructed wetland, giving the example of Ramsar site at Valencia, Spain. Then you have talked about Hauskas Lake, the floating wetlands there, Hyderabad example you have given. You have talked about the which was discussed by many about the plants, use of plants for absorbing heavy metals, use of them for maintaining the quality water. We have here Dr. Ibe Chaubi, who worked on the riparian vegetation. He worked very beautifully with her small experiments, because researcher can do experiment, then the follow-up is to be taken by the government and the policy planning agents and the agencies, that how these small grasses and other they can prevent the pollution load. She worked out very beautifully. Then sir has talked about that other human wildlife coexistence, GFMC, its role, etc. So then very good initiation, discussion was initiated. He has talked about the what to say, Umanglize these sacred groves of Manipur, and so on and so forth. A very good this discussion was generated at the end of the talk. We are very thankful to you for nicely answering all the queries and questions, sir. Here only I want to say 2-3 things. For example, in Zoom fields, use of Alnus nepellensis, nitrogen fixing agent. All vegetation may be destroyed, but the thing is that this plant is kept intact so that the vegetation will rejuvenate. In ecology, we are talking of keeping the keystone species. If keystone species are there, then the rejuvenation, the restoration of the landscape will take place. And here when we talk of these sacred groves, we are seeing a number of ficus, different type of ficus plants, they are found in them. So this is an example that how the restoration takes place, because the whole range of biodiversity is protected in these small forest patches. Then here, when we talk of shifting cultivation also, and we have to use some technology for the people because they depend on that livelihood. We have seen there there is also science there, and they have sequential harvesting, and then the sowing may be there at particular date, and then sequential harvesting is there. They are having different life forms so that nutrient is absorbed at different levels, and then they have got some sort of, to some level, their livelihood is going on even if the main crop fails, if the crop fails. So it is a polyculture rather in shifting cultivation. Then here I have to also talk that this the project where we work, and then in it judicious combination. Plantations are there. Plantation are very much required, and Dr. Neeru has worked, and we have seen that in Pinus forest a lot of storage of carbon is there. But the thing is that when we talk of biodiversity, a judicious combination of deciduous and evergreen species should be there. That is our view and also our findings. So these are my observations, and here just I want to say, as we are facing this pandemic COVID-19, and we are facing rather here at this time, same time, 6 mass extinction event, and 1 million plant and animal species are now threatened with extinction due to changes in land use, over exploitation of resources, invasive species, pollution problem, climate change, menace, etc. We have seen the mammals, birds, reptiles, amphibians, fish, they have declined from 1970. If we see about 68%, large chunk of ecosystem have been degraded. So we know that human is at the center of this destruction, but he is also the alive to the need for responsible for conservation, as we have seen in Manipur. And sir, you are rightly pointing out that this model may be for the whole world, that how the community initiation at the grassroots level, it may be involved in protecting our valuable biological wealth. Here I want to point out one thing, that when we are talking of restoration projects, we are suffering at this COVID time. Our economy has also to be rejuvenated. I find some link there, that in case we provide them with green solutions, then it may provide the immediate job, and also reduce the risk of future crisis, and improve the resilience and long-term viability of business and economy. So, this recovery from COVID-19 crisis also coincide with critical opportunity to fight against ecosystem degradation and climate change. We know that globally, land degradation caused by anthropogenic activity is undermining the well-being of 3.2 billion people, and this which is causing a lot of problems that we understand. So, Intergovernmental Science Policy Platform on Biodiversity and Ecosystem Service estimate that economic cost of biodiversity and ecosystem service loss because of land degradation is more than 10% of annual gross world product. I remember co-standard publication in Nature, who has found out that the ecosystem services which are provided by our ecosystem, they are triple of the world GDP. That is why it is very much important at this juncture that we understand this, and by investing in ecological restoration, government should to not choose between economic priorities and environmental concerns. That is, if they invest in restoration activities, it can simultaneously ease pressure on the environment and create immediate jobs and revenue. So we have to prioritize our investment, the policymakers and government, on our ecological capital. So, and we have to bridge across the gaps between the economy, understand the bridge which may join the economy and environment. So, with this word, I will say very much. I'm really thankful to all the dignitaries who are present in this webinar, and Professor Abhik Gupta especially for taking trouble and taking. I mean, rather, we are very happy, sir, that you are here with us in
It
this.
was a pleasure.
All the dignitaries who are here. So we have to invest heavily so that the degraded ecosystems will be restored, and we have to work, as sir has said, that we have to think locally. So we have a very good team. Dr. Sunita is there. Dr. Emosana is there. Emosana is very good taxonomist. He takes great interest in taxonomy. Dr. Sunita takes interest in watershed management activity. She takes interest in these other GIS, remote sensing monitoring. Dr. Ibechob is there, who is very good in wetland work, and identifying the species, then rather work on water problem. Dr. Biteswari, and so on. We have got a great number of research scholars, workers who are now guest lecturers and teachers in different colleges. So I think this whole team will work for Manipur, and think that the problems like erosion control or the water filtration, then carbon mitigation, all these things, they may be checked, and we will have to, we have to not pay the price for our anthropos. So I feel that the green economy is cleverer when the growth markets and corporations are turned into conservation allies. So let us become an agent of this change. And I think that let us take all of us pledge that we will work for better Manipur and better our environment, for better environment tomorrow. Thank you, sir. So over to Ibe Chaubi again.
Thank you, Madam, for your knowledgeable, interesting, and distinct suggestive presidential address. Now I request Dr. Deji Angom, Assistant Professor, Thobal College, Thobal, and Vice President, Manipur Sakti, to give the vote of thanks. So Deji, please. Deji, Dr. Deji Angom. Deji.
Daisy, unmute yourself. Unmute yourself first, Daisy.
Am I audible?
Yes, audible.
Okay.
A very good evening to one and all present. It's my pleasure to propose vote of thanks in this memorable day. We all know that 5th June is celebrated annually as the World Environment Day to remind people about the importance of nature to protect, nourish, and cherish our planet Earth. I, on behalf of SEED, that is, Society for Environmental Education and Development, and Sakti Manipur, an organization striving for the empowerment of women, would like to extend my heartiest thanks to Professor Abhik Gupta, Vice Chairperson, Tripura State Higher Secondary Education Council, and former professor in Department of Economics, Ecology and Environmental Science and Pro VC, Assam University, Silchar, for sparing his valuable time to enlighten us with his thought-provoking speech entitled Re-affirming Our Commitments to the Biosphere. Sir, your presentation is unique and have really enriched and inspired us to work harder to achieve the goal of conserving our biosphere, reminding us to think globally, act locally. I also extend my heartfelt thanks to Professor Niranjan Behera for participating in today's webinar and also providing valuable suggestions to restore the degrading ecosystems. Thank you, sir. I also extend my sincere thanks to Dr. T.S. Singh and Dr. Azai, as former scientists ISRO Ahmedabad, for participating actively in today's observation and also highlighting valuable suggestions. Thanks is also due to Dr. Bala Prasad, Dr. Kanchan, Dr. Kakari, Subhas Putnam, Rowell, Waltromi, and Betamax for their active participation and lively interaction. I also extend my sincere thanks to Dr. R.K. Sunita for her warm welcome, Dr. R.K. Emoshana Singh for introducing our speaker, Dr. Ibechawi Devi for hosting today's program, and Santosh Nahakam for providing virtual platform of today's webinar. I also extend my sincere and heartfelt thanks to Professor Asa Gupta, who is the president of today's webinar. Madam, your tireless effort and enthusiasm have made this webinar a grand success. Thank you, Madam, for your warm and compact presidential speech, highlighting your observations minutely. I would also like to extend my heartfelt thanks to all the members of SEAT and Sakti Manipur for making this webinar a grand success. Lastly, but not the least, I would also like to extend my sincere gratitude and thanks to all the participants of today's webinar. Taking this opportunity, I would also like to inform that our next function will be held on 7 July, that is on the World Population Day. I request all the participants to kindly join the next session also. Moreover, I would like to announce that all the participants to kindly open the link to fill up the feedback forms after the completion of this webinar and send it quickly to obtain the certificates of this function. Now, with the permission of the chair, I declare the function as closed. Thank you once again. Thank you.
Thank you, Daisy.
Okay, thank you all. Thank you. Dr. Daisy, thank you. Dr. Sunita, nice meeting all of you. Professor Asa Gupta ji, all the others. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Aarti madam. You are here. I'm seeing you now.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Thank you,
Thank you, Aarti.
Thank you, sir.
Saji was director of Institute of Science, Nagpur. We are lucky to see her here in this program. Dr. Shashi Agarwal is there. She is from Chandrapur. She was, she's related to education and all those things. So, sir is there with education council. So, all educationists are also joining. Dr. Sovita also from Manipur University. She's from education department. She's also joining. So, we have got a very distinct audience today, sir, because of your lecture. We are thankful to you.